All right, so this is our week 3 FRQ video notes lesson here. So today we're going to focus on two questions. The first one is going to be the 2014 question 3, letter D, and we are not using calculators on this one. Up here we're given a graph of f, and the question down here says we have a new function, function p, and this is what function p is. It's a composite function, meaning a function with an inside function and an outside function. The outside function is the f that you see here. And then the inside function is the x squared minus x. The question that we're being asked here is to find the slope of the line tangent to the graph of p at x equals -1. Now, the slope of a tangent, hopefully you guys are starting to really get this, the slope of a tangent line to P would be given by P prime of -1. That's what that means. So it's important you guys understand that. The slope of a tangent line to the graph of P at -1 is really just what's P prime of 1, the derivative of P at x equals -1. So to answer this question, then I need to take the derivative of this function, and I'm going to have to use the chain rule. And after I do that, I'm going to plug in -1, and I will be able to find the slope of the tangent line of the graph of P at that value of x equal -1. So let's go ahead and begin. So step 1 on this problem is to take the derivative of P. So here we go. Now the derivative is going to be the derivative of this outside function, which is f, and multiplying that by the derivative of the inside function, which is x squared minus x. So how do we take the derivative of f? Well, it's just f prime. And when we do that, we don't change the inside. We're going to leave it exactly as it is. And then we're going to multiply that by the derivative of the inside, 2x minus x, which is x squared minus x, which the derivative is going to be x minus 1. Okay, there's our derivative. And on the FRQ, this would be worth 1 point. Just finding that derivative is going to be worth 1 point. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to plug in the value of x that they gave us. So here we go. Plugging in -1. Okay. So let's simplify it a little bit here. 1 squared is 1. Double negatives here become positives. So I have 1 plus 1, which is 2. So I end up with f prime of 2 here. And then in this set over here, I've got -2 minus 1, which is -3. So right now, then, I have p prime of -1 is equal to f prime of 2 times -3. So now I need to find f prime of 2. Now, it's important to understand what f prime of 2 is. F prime of 2 is the slope of f at x equals 2. So that's what this piece right here is. F prime of 2 is the slope, the derivative, of f when x equals 2. So let's take a look at our graph of f over here. Here's our graph of f. Here's where x equals 2 on that graph. And the question is, what's the slope of that line? Okay, so we're going to have to do some rise over run here, right? So slope, as you guys know, is rise over run. So if I were to pick any 2 points on here, I can find my rise or run. It looks like I'm just going down 4 and over 2. So my rise is down 4, my run is over 2. So down 4 over 2. And that simplifies into -2. So the slope of f at x equals 2 is -2. And so that's what f prime of 2 would equal. So now I know that p prime of negative 1 is going to be equal to this, which we just discovered is negative 2 times negative 3, which is 6. And that's all we have to do. We just need to find the slope of the tangent line. It's not asking us to find the equation of the tangent line, although technically we could do that also. We're not going to do that. We're just going to find the slope of our tangent line at that point. So step 1 is to find the derivative. That would be worth 1 point. Step 2, they would probably just be giving you a point for the final answer here. However, you're not allowed to have just the answer. In order to get this point, you have to have the answer with this work shown. So 1 point is the derivative. The other point is the answer with the work shown. So that would be a 2-point question, I'm assuming. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at our next question here. All right, so in this one, we've got a table. It says the functions f and g are involved here. We're not going to worry about this vocabulary right now. Continuous second derivatives we can solve this problem without knowing that. We'll get to that sort of stuff later. But basically, I don't think this entire sentence is going to be of any use to us for what we're going to do. We're equipped to solve this as is. So let's go ahead and begin here. Let's start off with part A. Now, this is 2016, 6A and 6B. Once again, no calculator. Keep all those little details in mind. So part A says K is equal to f of g of x. So K is a composite of f and g. Our goal here is to write an equation for the tangent line at x equals 3 for the function K. Okay, so here's K. I want to find the tangent line to this function when x equals 3. All right, so as you guys know, in order to find the equation of a tangent line, we need 3 things. We need a x value, we need a y value, and we need a slope. Okay, now they're giving us the x value. Our goal is to find the y value and the slope. Let's start off with the y value. The y value can be found by plugging 3 into the original function, the k function. Now k is equal to f of g of x. And we're plugging 3 in. So we can use our table to find this. So let's do that. G of 3 is 6. So therefore, I can just write f of g of 3 like this, f of 6. Next, I need to find f of 6. F of 6 is 4. So that means that 4 is equal to k of 3, which is our y value that we want. So 4 is my y value. Next, I need to find my slope. Now, to find my slope, I'm going to need to do 2 things. The first thing I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to take the derivative of k, because the slope is going to be equal to the derivative of k at that particular value of x. So I need to find the derivative of k first, and then I'm going to plug 3 into it. So let's start by finding the derivative of k. Now, that's a composite function, which means I'm going to have to do the chain rule. I have my outside function, which is f, and I've got my inside function, which is g. Okay, so the derivative of k is going to be the derivative of the outside multiplied by the derivative of the inside. So the derivative of f is going to be f prime. Change my colors here. And when we do that, the inside doesn't change, so that's just g in there. And then we're going to multiply that by the derivative of the inside, the g function. So that would be g prime. Now I want to find k prime of 3, right? So now after I take my derivative, I'm going to plug in the number 3. So here we go. All right, so g of 3 is equal to 6. G prime of 3 is equal to 2. And f prime of 6 is equal to 5. So I'm left with 5 times 2, which is 10. So my slope, which is found by finding the derivative of k and plugging in 3, is 10. So I've got my x, I've got my y, and I have my slope. I'm ready to go ahead and answer the question finally. I'm ready to write out my tangent line. Y equals m times x minus my x1 plus my y1, which is 4. So how would they grade you on this? I think it's very likely this question could be worth quite a few points. So instead of me guessing, I want to show you guys, you can always look up how these things are graded. Let me show you that. If you ever want to just look it up, you just put 2016, Calculus, AB, FRQ. Matter of fact, I should have put something else. Let me go back. Calculus, AB, FRQ, 2016. And we want to put scoring guidelines. Now, when I'm making these videos, a lot of times I'm just kind of guessing at how they'll score. I've looked at so many that I kind of have a pretty good intuition about how they grade. And sometimes I could be a little bit off on how they're distributing their points. Let's find 2016. I didn't like. Let me back up a little bit. See if they actually just have the answer key available. That's BC. Usually it's a lot easier than this to find the guidelines. Oh, here it is. All right, I just misspelled guidelines. I had to research it. Let me open this up. If you type in scoring guidelines, it gives you the actual entire free response test for that year. Now we're doing option 6, A and B, was it? Yeah. And here you can see where they're grading it. So this is actually going to be, here's our question. And down here, here's the answers with how they score it. So you get 2 points for finding the slope. This is a 3-point question. That's worth a lot of points, actually. So my guess is that they're giving you 1 point for finding the derivative appropriately, doing the chain rule, and then another point for actually getting the slope. I'm surprised that they're not giving any points for finding the y value. They're putting all the points on the slope. So they're not giving any credit for finding the y value. But you do need to do that because the third point is right here in the answer. So 1 point for writing your tangent line, 2 points for finding the slope. So that's how they graded it. So you can always see how they grade, and I think that's a good way to study for you guys too. In the videos, I'll give you my own intuition. Sometimes I'll even take the time to look it up just to be sure. But I'll give you my own intuitions about how they're graded though. But you can look it up too. All right, now we had another part to this, so let's move on. So for part B, it says, let h of x be equal to g over f, find h prime of 1. So to find h prime of 1, we got to do 2 things. I got to find the derivative first, and then I'm going to plug in 1. So let's find the derivative. Well, in order to find the derivative, I have to know what kind of derivative to do. This is a quotient, so I'm going to do the quotient rule. So h prime of x is going to be equal to low d high minus high d low, draw a line, square below. Now I'm plugging in 1, so let's do that. H prime of 1 and then we're going to use our table to fill in the blank. So we have f of 1, which is negative 6. Then we have g prime of 1, which is 8. and then we have g of 1, which is 2, and then we have f prime of 1, which is 3. On the bottom, we've got f of 1 again, which we already said was negative 6. So I've got negative 48 minus 6 over 36, and that's going to be negative 54 over 36. You don't need to reduce. This is a free response question. As a matter of fact, you're okay to even stop here. So that might have even been a better choice to go ahead and stop there instead of risking doing something wrong here. Because remember, on the AP test, when it comes to free response questions, all they want to see is that you know how to do the calculus. Up to this point, you're done because anything after that's just basic math. They're not worried about that, and it just takes time, and it also increases the possibility of running into an error. So I would stop there, actually. I kept going blindly, but there you have it. Now, if you did reduce it, though, I know that 9 goes into both of these. 9 goes into 54 6 times. 9 goes into there 4 times, and then we can reduce even a little bit more to get 3 halves. So that's the answer I'm getting. Let's see. Now, instead of me telling you how they grade it, since I brought up the scoring guide, we'll look at it again. Wow, this is another 3-point question. They're being really generous on this one. They're giving you 2 points for h prime of 1. So my guess is that they're giving 1 point for just having done the quotient rule correctly. You should have f here, g prime here, g here, f prime here, and f down here with a square. That's probably worth 1 point. And then showing them that you plugged in 1 is probably worth another point there. So that's 2 points altogether. In the end, they say they give you credit for the answer. Now, once again, I don't think they mean this. I don't think they mean this. I think they mean this. And when I say I think, I should change my words there. I know that this is okay. You don't need to do these other two. You can, but this is good enough, the unsimplified form. So there you go. I think that'll be good enough for our FRQs this weekend. So go ahead and start up your practice problems now that I've provided you with, and we'll see you guys in class on Monday.